Good morning, Shindo here. This morning we're going to be talking about China and Russia and their cozy relationship. They're becoming more and more allied in everything. They are talking about an economic relationship, which, if it were to happen, would be not so good for the United States of America. As I've previously stated, the world economy is on the brink of, for the lack of a better word, collapse. And when this happens, we're going to see this staging closer and closer to World War III. Now, I don't believe the World War III is going to happen soon. What I do believe is that we're going to be at the brink of World War III when a statesman will come in and bring peace. Now, I believe I know who that statesman is going to be, and if you've watched my videos, I think you know who I'm thinking of. Russia and China are launching a joint naval drill in the South China Seas. Now, these South China Seas are already in contention with China building these man-made islands and whatnot. So, again, another article that shows how the forces are lining up. You've got China and Russia, which would together would be a formidable enemy to the United States. This is from the Financial Times. China and Russia launch joint naval drills in South China Sea. China and Russia begin 8 days of naval drills in the South China Seas on Monday, a sign of increasingly tight links between the world's second and third largest militaries as they seek to counter U.S. influence in the region. The latest Chinese-Russian exercise, dubbed, quote, Joint Sea 2016, unquote, are the largest joint operations ever by the two navies, according to Chinese Navy spokesman Liang Yang. Quote, island seizing, unquote, activities, including anti-submarine operations, will feature alongside live fire drills and island defense. Folks, when they do these exercises, it's all a show of force. It's saying, hey, United States, we are a force to be reckoned with, so don't screw with us. If China and Russia can overcome their hundreds of years of distrust, then it's not a good sign for the United States. The maneuvers, the fifth Sino-Russian joint naval exercise in various regions since 2012, five since 2012, come at a time of increasing tensions in the South China Sea. China claims 85% of the contested waters, while Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan have competing claims. In July, an arbitration court in The Hague criticized China's efforts to build man-made islands in the waterway and said there was no historical basis for its sovereignty claims. China's government rejected the ruling. Quote, by holding the exercise with China regardless of the sensitivity of the issue, Russia is effectively showing its support for China, unquote, says Wang Haiyang, a retired major general previously stationed in Russia, who is now a senior advisor to the China Institute for International Strategic Studies, while cautioning against overinterpretation. Russia and China back each other politically on some international controversial issues, while the drill could prove detrimental to Moscow's bid to balance its over-dependence on China by deepening ties with the countries such as Vietnam. The Kremlin sees it as a means of rebuting U.S.-led intervention in regions that are the spheres of influence of other countries. The latest exercises featured naval surface ships, submarines, fixed-wing aircraft, ship-borne helicopters, Marine Corps, and amphibious armored equipment from both navies. Last year, the two countries held joint exercises in both the Sea of Japan and the Mediterranean. This year, they will occur off the southern coast of Guangdong Province near the city of Zhangjiang, where the People's Liberation Army Navy Nahan Fleet is based. In the Group of 20 summit in the Chinese city of Hangzhou earlier this month, Russian President Vladimir Putin told reporters that Russia supports China's stance on the Hague Court's ruling. Echoing China's stance, he said non-regional powers should not interfere in the South China Sea issue, calling it, quote, counterproductive. While the exercises were announced in July, China Defense Ministry spokesman Yang Yunjin called them routine and said they were, quote, not directed against third parties, unquote. For Moscow, the drill helps this country's navy rebuild capabilities and reach it had partially lost since the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. Russian defense experts said in this respect, the South China Sea's exercise was similar to last year's joint maneuvers in the Mediterranean. Quote, those are waters where the Chinese are newcomers, and at the time our joint activity there also raised eyebrows, unquote, said the Russian military analyst, who asked not to be named. Li Xing, director of the Eurasian Studies Center at Beijing Normal University, said the timing and sensitivity of the naval exercise exemplify the high degree of cooperation between China and Russia. Quote, the fact that China and Russia are hosting military exercises jointly shows the two countries have a very high level of mutual trust. Again, of course, this is never going to be good news for the United States. And we have a president currently who is about the weakest, most ineffective president we've ever had. I mean, he's like Jimmy Carter, except popular. I don't get why it is that the president has such a high popularity rating. Honestly, I think people are afraid to say that they don't like him simply because he's black. That's what I think. But we have a very weak president. Very, very weak president. And we are going to be catapulted in the other way. This is going to be a pendulum shift, a complete 180 turn with the new president, regardless of who it is. Because Clinton is pretty much a war hawk. And she's going to feel like she has to prove herself as a woman. So either one of these two that get in, I think that Donald Trump might be a little more diplomatic. He may actually be easier for these people to talk to. So we'll see. But regardless, we're about to see a huge pendulum shift. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I think we're going to see ourselves at the brink of a war, and then a statesman come in and bring peace and security. This is Shindo. You have a good Monday.